tax, accounting, and payroll. Thank you for voting us Yuba Sutter's best in multiple categories, including financial advisor and wealth management firm for the past 5 years. You can find more information at shawassociatesinc.com or 530-674-1150. Shaw & Associates is proud to support community radio.
It is 8:15. Good morning. John Black here with you along with the captain. And we're going to be talking, first we're going to talk a little nutty thing. Because farming in the area is more than just rice and planted stuff in the ground. It's also trees. We've got in the studio from the Farm Advisor's Office, Franz Neiderholzer. Neiderholzer? We get it right? Okay.
There you go. Perfect.
And you've also, here in the studio, we got from the CalFresh Healthy Living, the UC, we've got Melissa Ussery and Jona Pressman. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
We're going to be talking stuff that grows in the area and how nutritious it is. We were kind of making fun of the prune a little bit, but very, very nutritious, isn't it there, Franz?
Yeah, tasty and nutritious.
And it's grown right here.
Absolutely. This is the... 99% of the prunes grown in the U.S. come out of, the Sacramento Valley, few in the San Joaquin, but all out of California.
99% of the prunes grown right here. Like we have the world's corner on sushi rice as well. Yeah. That's something else. Yeah. But we're here to talk about trees, if you will.
Tree crops.
Tree crops. We got, of course, we talked about, mentioned prunes. There's walnuts. There's almonds.
Yep. Peaches and prunes were traditionally big crops in the area. Still are, but walnuts have jumped up tremendously in the last. Well, they were always here, but have increased recently. And almonds in particular, they were big in in the 50s, and a lot of the industry went north, and now there's a lot more almonds being planted locally. New varieties.
I've noticed that when an orchard goes out, I'm seeing more and more almonds. Used to be almonds, but almonds come back. They just knock the L out of them. I know that. So, my friend of mine, my best friend, when he's not painting, he works for a walnut grower and harvester.
Yes.
And he said the mindset is, okay, what's the crop going to be like in 10 years? What's the market going to be like?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's an investment in the future.
Right.
Because you don't know really what the market's going to be. I mean, is the market good right now for tree crops?
It's been better.
Yeah.
The prune business is in good shape price-wise, based on the world market world volumes off, with some other competitive nations having light crops last year or two. But the nut crops prices are off significantly from a high of a few years back.
Is it because of the supply chain thing?
Part of that. There's been a lot of production. Growers, understandably, everybody pursues where things look good, and so there's been a great increase in planting and production, and it's a world market anymore. So there's so many balls in the air that has to do with marketing crops.
Is there anything on the horizon that is going to change as far as crops in the areas, tree crops? Do you have something new, new varieties? I mean, because they're always grafting and things like that.
There's lots of there are new varieties coming. How they get accepted, how they're taken up by the industry is hard to know, because at first blush things look really good, and you have to have some experience with them over time, and so that there are things coming, but whether things change that much.
I just heard recently, in fact over the weekend, that when they go to plant peaches now, they're going to have a shorter lifespan, and maybe even plant them a little closer together than they used to, for the spacing they used to have. They're coming up with at UC Davis and things like that in the ag department. So instead of having maybe a 22-year life on the peaches, it's going to be like 12 to 14.
Is that the things you advise people on, the farmers?
Well, yeah, I pass on information that comes from campus to growers. I also pass from growers to campus. Things are really critical, and my position, or as a farm advisor, I'm the go-between, if you will, in the middle. I do grower education. I do local applied research, but my primary job is to be the go-between between campus and the growers.
Well, speaking of campus, it's the UC system, correct?
Yes.
Okay. How important is it to consume, if we could, Jona, local produce and local things like tree nuts and things like that? Is it more healthy to consume local?
I think it's healthy to consume produce and nutritious foods, and it's great if you can get them local because we know they're more flavorful. They're not on a truck coming, unripened, so you get really the best produce. And I think anybody who's a Californian that travels outside of California can know that when they're eating produce in another place that it hasn't been grown local, it doesn't taste quite so robust and flavorful. And really the point is
he's eating a watch, it's
right.
Is it healthier? Because it helps that to, like, for allergies, like honey. Honey is a good example.
Yeah.
You have to, if you consume it locally, a lot of that pollen is in there.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know if research would say that it's healthier to eat a locally grown peach over one that's been trucked in nutritionally, if that tracks in our gut. But it definitely, we know that eating produce is healthy, and we wouldn't want to say don't eat unless you eat local, because we want people to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables, because Americans typically don't.
With marketing and trucking and stuff, you can get stuff that's, produce that's been picked the day before almost and get it into your stores where the nutrition value is still up in high count and hasn't lost by sitting in a refrigerated area for a period of time.
Right, and just that if something's more flavorful and palatable, people are going to tend to eat more of it. So, and making it available locally in many places. Also, it's that consumer, when you go in and you see the produce displayed nicely, when it looks good, you're more enticed to buy it and hopefully consume it when you go home.
We have the availability too in both counties, I believe, to have locally owned farmers markets when the time hits right.
Well, they have the year-round one over at the Sutter County Museum. So, but I'm looking forward to that time when farmers markets do open back.
Oh yeah,
again.
fresh tomatoes.
Well, we're talking with Jona Pressman and Melissa Ussery of the Cal Fresh Healthy UC Advisory. Is that what it is?
It's Cal Fresh Healthy Living UC. It's part of the University of California that has both farm advising, 4-H, Master Gardener, and we do have nutrition programs. So we're all in that kind of umbrella of services.
We're talking about nutrition this morning. That's your kind of focus, correct?
Yes.
Are you a certified nutritionist?
I have my BS in dietetics and food administration. And Melissa, you can say.
Yeah, I have my bachelor's in community nutrition, so doing the education pieces that we're doing now.
Okay.
Do you guys hold seminars every so often where the public can come and glean?
We do our outreach with mainly through the public schools. So we provide education to students, K through high school, but our primary focus really is on kindergarten through 6th grade.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Catch them young.
Speaking of which, Melissa, you brought a little guest in there with you. What's his name?
This is Avery.
And it's important for proper nutrition because both of us, me and the captain, say, what's he about, 1.5, 2 years old? And you said, no, he's 1. So you don't get that healthy with eating junk food, do you? What? It's important to feed your children correct. And I mean, especially with all that you know.
Definitely. I think feeding someone young is challenging because as an adult, you have been eating your whole life. And then being an adult, trying to feed a little one, trying to figure out first how to feed them. So, of course, I still have to steam his food, make sure it's soft. He's at a place now that he wants it flavored. So I saute it after I steam it with a little bit of salt and pepper and olive oil, and he's more likely to eat it. But it's challenging to feed him because I also choose to feed him more fresh, and making my own baby food versus purchasing it myself. And that's just a choice that I've made, but knowing that a lot of time and effort goes into that, as well as if he's choosing to be picky that day, it is also challenging as well because you try very hard to provide a variety.
What is wrong with fast food? If you don't mind me,
It goes through you fast.
Well, that's true. It's but what I mean is, can you still eat it in just not overdo it and still have a healthy diet?
Definitely. Even working with youth and adults, we do a My Plate lesson, and we'll hold up cards and ask them where does this belong in the 5 food groups, and then we'll hold up something like cookies, and we ask, does this belong on my plate? And they say no. And my comment is always asking, is it nutritious? And they say, no, it's not nutritious. But I ask them, is it delicious? And they say, yes. And of course, we should definitely not just feed our bodies and fuel our bodies, but there are times where we also feed our souls and, eat delicious foods.
Are they eating enough in school? Because that was a big thing in the last couple of years that they redid the school menu, and the kids would get like a couple of carrots and a thing of 2% milk, and that would be it. Are they now realizing, like you said, it has to be delicious for them to actually eat it?
Definitely. The food service managers and working with them in both Sutter and Yuba County, they work very hard to get very nutritious and delicious foods on the meals. They also do, at least once a year, they do like a food tasting where they bring in a new food from healthy vendors that supply them and ask students, is this something that you'd be willing to eat? And they do food taste tests. And then the students do get to vote, and depending on what it is, they do put it on the menu, and it's really exciting. Of course, now because of COVID, they aren't able to really utilize their salad bars, but in both counties, each site has a salad bar, so students are able to serve themselves the fruits and vegetables.
Jona didn't know coming on the radio today was going to be a workout program.
You bring up a good point. I miss the salad bars. They used to be everywhere.
All the restaurants.
All the restaurants. But now, because of COVID, they're not there, right?
Well,
they are still there at the schools. They're just pre-packaged now. So instead of being able to scoop carrots, they have to take a bag of carrots. So it's a little bit different where they were able to self-serve versus grabbing it.
Okay. What else do you do? I mean, you do outreach to schools. What about the parents? Because they're the one that actually have to go to the store. And it's so hard because I do the shopping. Captain, you probably do the shopping in your house. Do you have to look at those labels every time? Is it label education, a lot of what you do?
That is a part of our food management and nutrition education that we have for adults as well. In the community, we work with community sites to do adult education, as well as the community sites at the schools as well. So if they have family resource centers, we partner with them to do adult education as well.
This is good.
So there are definitely areas where we do adult education, understanding that, not only do we have to educate the youth in schools, but the parents do the shopping, or their families do the shopping at home.
I'm very glad you brought your son in today. He just brought a little spirit of life into the studio.
I don't think I can remember having one
He's the youngest. He's the youngest guest we've ever had in the studio. So congratulations.
Let's ask him. And what's your opinion on nutrition?
Well, as he's eating the watch band.
As he's eating the watch band. Well, leather's got taste,
What do you think you've made an impact in what you do, and how do you gauge, if you could, success? So I'll start with you, Franz. What do you think success is in what you do?
Well, that's a good question, because we don't work in a vacuum. There's PCAs, pest control advisors, work closely with growers as far as crop management practices. We're part of a change. You see, trees are planted closer together. A lot of research from the university talks about how closely trees are planted. The closer, the more sunlight trees catch, the more food they produce. We've been part of that. We've been part of new pest control practices. New varieties that have come along. So I think we're part of the solution. We can't claim to be responsible for it completely. But
Franz, I've got a question. With the advent now of not burning the rice stubble, and they're able to flood and grind it back down into are the yields getting better for the farmers themselves doing it that way as compared to the old burning?
That's a good question. I don't think they're necessarily better. They're being able to maintain production without the smoke that was.
And the soil's probably enriching from. Okay.
Yeah, there's it's an investment in the soil. So you're incorporating straw, stubble, things of that nature. Over long term, you get return from that.
That's a good point, because that's part of what you do is you have to educate the farmers to not burn, or to get rid of how, because we see orchards torn up all the time. At what point do they say, okay, we got to tear these up and plant something else? We just did a story this morning about up at Lake Francis, a bark beetle infestation. They removed 248 huge trees up at Lake Francis. Are those kind of issues facing farmers for the nut crops?
Not because of the attention that growers pay to each orchard. Yeah. Generally, they're not getting hit by the drought. The drought made those trees more susceptible to the bark beetle infestation. So growers are taking care of their trees, but when the orchard comes to the end of its life, there are questions about how do you cycle to the next orchard. In the San Joaquin Valley, they're no longer able to burn them.
Right.
They have to chip them and mix them back in, which is good for the soil, but it is more costly to the grower.
One of the things that's happened here recently is that as I'm taking up smoking on a pellet smoker, is they're taking almond trees and plum trees, grinding them up and making pellets to smoke for smoking meat products. Yeah. So there's another industry there.
They did one near where I live, and they basically cut the entire orchard up into look like lumps of firewood. And people are coming along, and they're like, "Hey, take the firewood, free firewood."
Wow.
People doing things like that. How would you gauge your success, Jona?
So we have different ways that we collect evaluation on our activities and our nutrition series. And for example, in an adult class, they would come in and they'd take a pre-test, a survey, just to ask them a few questions about their eating habits, their shopping habits, food safety. And then we ask for that same evaluation to happen after they've participated in a lesson series with us to gauge their knowledge. With behavior, we also, when students fill out a tasting tool, have they ever tried this before? Let's say it's a walnut. Have they tried it before? How likely would they be to try it again? Would they ask their family or a parent to purchase the food? Would they like to see it in the cafeteria? And so that's one of the ways that we collect information, as well as in the schools we do have some environmental work that we do, such as planting gardens, so establishing gardens and a garden curricula around that, and stenciling playgrounds, so they're inviting and training teachers. How do we use that playground? It's just a hardscape, but it's very colorful. Can we get students moving at a time when they might not necessarily be moving? Maybe they'd sit, but we have this cool looking playground. So we have those kinds of things that we watch and see how students are participating in some of those.
He's a cute kid.
Yeah, we're laughing over that. Mom's going,
But where I was going with this.
Sorry.
It doesn't matter. No, I'm just thinking about the master gardeners. You mentioned that. I'm sure they're part of the presentation to come in to show them how to have them taste a fresh out of the garden tomato that's still warm from the sun. You just wipe it off. There's
nothing
that's
like a fresh tomato.
That was 45 years ago that I think at least that I had mine, and I still recall it to this day. And that's what you're going for, those memories.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like with 4-H. I mean, everybody thinks 4-H is animals. Well, it's not.
No,
it's gardens and, crops and
home health, heart, and
leadership. It's a lot of things.
Yeah, right.
And they actually had a float in the Buckeye this last weekend. So I know that, Melissa, you're kind of busy there, but what would you think to gauge your success as educating kids? Is there something like somebody asked a question that was like the perfect question?
No, we definitely gather the data, as Jona had said, but when you are out doing the education piece and you're doing the review and students are able to recall something, maybe not in that moment, then by the next time you go, that memory, or you ask them, what did we do last time, and did you share it with your families? And when they share this information, it's fantastic. A couple years ago, we worked with Whitney, the rice advisor, because we were doing education around grains and white rice versus brown rice and the nutritional values with that. They have the same nutritional value. The only difference is brown rice has fiber in it, which is fantastic. So doing a taste test along with that, but also bringing in Whitney as a farm advisor to share, this is the farming industry, this is what happens, as well as, what we use the rice lands for with the migration. And I had a student, she was in middle school. The next time I went to visit, she was so excited. She's like, I told my family about it. You know, you see all those rice fields. You're like, is that a lake, an ocean? Like, what is that? And she had shared it. And she's like, we drove by all the rice fields and I told them about it. It was so amazing. And she's just so excited about all the knowledge that she gained from this presentation. And she said, we tried white rice and brown rice. So the next time we went to the grocery store, you know, like, it took some convincing, but I got my parents to buy brown rice, and you know, we talked about it, so that it was successful in that one student, and that's really exciting to see.
Kind of makes your hair stand up your arm when you do things like that, because like you said, is this success? Where do you see what you do now? 10 years from now, we're running out of time here, but what do you think the farm advisors and what y'all do, the Cal Fresh Healthy UC, where would it be in, say, 10 years from now? Do you expect it to see everybody not worried about food security and things like that, and eating healthy? That's the end goal, right?
Yes, I think in 10 years, I'm hoping to see a lot of cooperative extension offices, just like ours, to be able to work alongside our UC Master Gardeners and farm advisors and 4-H, and really, because we are all under cooperative extension, being able to partner up more and do more programming and do the education piece. Not only are the farm advisor educating the farmers, but they're also educating the students about the farming industry and the farmers and what they're doing and eating locally. And 4-H is coming in doing leadership programs, and we're partnering up with them to do, you know, nutrition, gardening, and education with, you know, teens or youth. And so kind of integrating all of those great things that we already do and being able to partner up and help the community as a whole.
Well, UC Davis has been like the gold standard as far as farm education in the United States. You don't have, it's not just about farming here, but there's a...
Well, the varieties of walnuts they've come up with down there over this last 15, 20 years is amazing.
I know. I'm no longer allergic to them. Walnuts, I don't know what it was. When I was in my teens, I was allergic to walnuts, but I can eat them now because they're different. Maybe it's a different variety. I don't know. Anyways, I want to thank Franz and Neiderholzer with what's your title again?
I'm an Orchard Systems Farm Advisor, but I'm a farm advisor.
Okay. And also, Jona, what's your title?
I'm a Nutrition Education Program Manager.
And Melissa, how about you?
I am a supervisor for the Cal Fresh Healthy Living UC program.
When you say Cal Fresh, everybody thinks food stamps, but it's not that.
Well, it is the EBT and food program. Those are still available. We're the education piece of that, but that is definitely still active and alive and helping people to be able to, stretch their food dollars for sure.
Yeah, especially at this time.
Yes.
Folks, I want to thank you very much. And what was your son's name again?
Avery.
Avery. You know, this is going to be one of those things. It's going to be available on Facebook, and he's going to be, speaking of 10 years, he's going to be a teenager.
I was going to say he'll be 11 next time. When you said, what are you going down the road 10 years?
And he'll be able to watch this video and say, boy, I was a handful, wasn't I? But that's a good, healthy boy.
Thank you.
Yes.
And we appreciate your... having him on us.
Oh, yeah.
Avery, thank you very much. And folks, thank you. Hopefully, this makes a lot of sense, a fat guy talking to people about nutrition. It's sort of like a, you don't trust a fat chef or a skinny chef. But I can tell you all take your nutrition seriously, and it shows. You got clear skin, bright eyes, the whole thing. The things that it takes pays off, I guess. Folks, thank you very much.
Thanks very much for having us.
This community interview is made possible by Shaw and Associates.
I'm Dave Shaw, President and CEO of Shaw and Associates. For over 65 years, Shaw and Associates has been your trusted local expert for wealth management, tax, accounting, and payroll. Thank you for voting us Yuba Sutter's best in multiple categories, including financial advisor and wealth management firm for the past 5 years. You can find more information at shawassociatesinc.com or 530-674-1150. Shaw and Associates is proud to support community radio.